childhood. Childhood is a time that all of us have shared. A time that is truly free. A time that is unencumbered by any kind of responsibility. A time of innocence and play. But this, unfortunately, is not everyone's reality. Lakhs of girls in our country and millions across the world do not get to experience this childhood. They have no freedom. Their dreams are brutally cut short. Their innocence is shattered and they are being forced to grow up almost overnight. These are our daughters. Forced into an early marriage, forced into an early motherhood, and while they are being children themselves. If you think child marriage is an archaic tradition from the past, something that used to happen but does not happen any longer, please allow me to share with you this fact. Every minute, 3 girls in India are being forced into an early marriage. This is not a tradition. This is not culture. It is not religion. It is nothing but an impending rape of our daughters. So many children are getting married and being forced into an early pregnancy after having been raped. Maybe the lady who irons your clothes. Maybe the one who comes to clean your house. When a child is married, when a girl is married as a child, she loses everything. She loses her health, her education, her childhood, her innocence, her choice. If this isn't a human rights crisis, then what is? And look at the impact it has on her health. Adolescent pregnancies, maternal deaths, anemia, depression, babies born premature or underweight. And above all, it is a spiritual failure. Because there is nothing sacred about exploitation. We have to call child marriage for what it really is. Child sexual abuse and child rape. A few years ago, we realized that this crisis needs to be tackled head-on. And with the rule of law being the bedrock of this change, we needed to harness the power of our own people, to erase this social evil, to erase and eradicate this crime from our society, to act. It was also the first time that community leaders, women leaders, it was the first time that children themselves took charge in such large numbers to fight a crime. These groundbreaking developments led to the birth of the nationwide movement in the pursuit of a child marriage-free India. This is the story of how the world's largest civil society movement was born right amongst us, in our motherland, in our country. And what does this movement actually mean to many young girls and boys whose lives have changed? What does it mean for a child to be free, to be rescued from child marriage? What does it mean for a child to have a dream? And the dream of a child collectively becomes the dream of a child marriage-free India. That dream is about providing life and joy. It is about providing a second chance at childhood and a second chance at life itself.
14-year-old Madhu enjoys going to school and playing with her friends. She wants to study so that she can build a future for herself. But only a few months ago, her dream was in danger of being destroyed. It all began when a man much older than Madhu came to her village from Rajasthan and made an offer to Madhu's parents. If they married their daughter to him, he would build them a house. In a single conversation, Madhu's fate was decided, and she was forcibly taken to Rajasthan to get married. Initially, her cries and pleas for help failed to move her unrelenting parents. But she refused to budge, and they had to bring her back home. Back in the village, she still wasn't safe. The man who wanted to marry her followed them, pressuring her family to go through with the marriage. That is when Madhu, displaying huge courage in the face of mounting adversity, secretly reached out to the local NGO Aparajita, a partner of Just Rights for Children Network.
हम लोग जागरूकता जो कैंप लगाते हैं जिसमें बच्चियां भी आती हैं, महिलाएं भी आती हैं और हर पंचायत में हम लोग कोशिश करते हैं अपने वॉलंटियर्स बनाने की। तो उन्हीं वॉलंटियर्स में से ही जो बच्चियां आती हैं बैठकों में सुनती हैं, उनमें ये बच्ची भी थी। तो उसने अपनी सहेली से जिक्र किया और सहेली ने हमारी संस्था के लोगों को बताया। तो हमारी टीम वहाँ पर जा कर के फिर चाइल्ड लाइन और CWC में संपर्क किए और वहाँ से फिर एक टीम बना के इस बच्ची को रेस्क्यू करने का काम किया।
Aparajita is a partner of Just Rights for Children, which is a network of 250 plus NGOs working across 450 plus districts in India. NGOs like Aparajita are often the first line of defense in intervening to prevent child marriages. In this case, Aparajita alerted the Child Welfare Committee, who directed the local anti-human trafficking unit to invoke the law and rescue Madhu.
बच्ची प्रोड्यूस हुई और प्रोड्यूस होने के उपरांत जो है माँ बाप की काउंसलिंग कराई गई। माँ बाप की काउंसलिंग, बच्ची की काउंसलिंग हुई और माँ बाप को इन शर्तों के अधीन बॉन्ड भराकर बच्चे को संरक्षण में दिया गया कि आगे से जो है वो बच्चे का जो है जब तक बच्ची बालिग नहीं हो जाती बच्चे की जो है विवाह नहीं कराएंगे और हर महीने फॉलोअप में बच्चे को CWC के सामने लेकर आएंगे।
Today, Madhu is under safe guardianship and the law is working to protect her from a repeat of the crime. On the face of it, this was a case of child marriage, but such transactional marriages are often a front for another crime, child trafficking. Madhu's story is one of deep pain and also of extraordinary courage. It is an example of what can be achieved when the ecosystem comes together swiftly and in conjunction to save a childhood from being destroyed, in this case, all for want of a house.
This was the story of a girl whose childhood was restored. A girl we could save. But I remember the story of another young child, a child who we could not save. Many years ago, I had received a call from Mr. Sudhir Yadav, the then Director General of Police of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. And he had informed about the impending marriage of a young child. A child who had reported to the police. She wanted her marriage to be stopped. And he asked me what were the laws that we could use to save her. And unfortunately, back then there was no real law to protect her. He did his best. The police could go and speak to the parents, and the marriage was stopped, but only for a few days. A few days later, a very distraught and angry Mr. Yadav called me again. Helpless. The girl had been taken out of Andaman and Nicobar Islands to Chennai and she had been forcibly married. She had been abused, raped within that marriage. And at that time, the law did not even recognize that as a crime. This child had approached the state and the police to say, protect me, save me. And we had failed. And now, this child did not want to file a case and pursue that case anymore. Years later, in 2015, we filed a petition before the Honorable Supreme Court. The POXO Act had come into existence. And why the POXO Act should not be invoked when a child was sexually abused in a domestic household, in a shared household, in a domestic relationship, we went to the Supreme Court saying, each case of sexual intercourse, even within marriage, should be treated as an offence, as rape. From January 1, 2016, the laws began to change. In 2017, the court agreed with a landmark ruling that sexual intercourse, even with a minor wife, amounts to rape. And Section 375, which was the then erstwhile section of rape, should be amended accordingly. The same is now being reflected in the newly enacted rape provisions in the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. That is how child marriage-free India in the last years has been born and has come about. We sat together. We started developing a plan. One of my colleagues from Vidisha, Mr. Ram Raghuvanshi, said something that became the defining movement. He was talking about women's self-help groups. And I asked him, what are these self-help groups across India doing? Are they empowering women economically? Yes. Are they working towards women's rights? Yes. Then why are they not at the forefront of fight against child marriage? That small idea became the seed of the entire movement. A seed that sprouted later that year, when Child Marriage Free India was born, with 76,000 women across 7,500 villages standing up for their daughters. What happened to them? They came out on the streets and said should not happen to their daughters. When the children take up this cause, then the change is sustainable. That is the India model. Through the Just Rights for Children network, more than 250 NGOs across 450 districts that we worked with law enforcement agencies, police, panchayats, schools, families, and faith leaders, religious leaders. The biggest example of collaboration to fight child marriage. It has come from the world's largest democracy. Through people's participation, through people's pledging, through people's reporting, through people's action. And through this campaign, we said, prevention before protection, protection before prosecution, and prosecute with a one single aim to create a deterrence for prevention. And a significant leap in this direction took place in Udaipur in April 2023, when the first injunction order was invoked to stop a child marriage. The result is for everyone to see. In India, between 2023 and 2025, over 400,000 child marriages have been prevented, and over 630,000 out-of-school girls have been put back in school. Reflecting on the milestone of these years is important because they tell us how far we have come in this journey. Perhaps the most landmark moment came when the Honorable Supreme Court issued a decisive judgment on 18th October 2024. A judgment against all child marriages, calling for comprehensive measures at the panchayat level, at the school level, at the police level, at the state level, at the central level, to eradicate child marriage completely. This judgment came as a response to a petition filed by one of the Just Rights for Children partners, Seva, and one of our colleagues. And the court mandated the appointment of child marriage prohibition officers across the country. In Bihar, faith leaders stood together and pledged with a decisive voice to end child marriage. From Mednipur, where child marriage wounds run deep, women marched forward, holding burning mashals of hope. Brothers and fathers from every corner of the country have come together. Many years ago, I had seen this child carrying another child at the back of her shoulders. In that same area, we started a bridge course, then a school, then eventually made sure that as many children that we could reach out to were identified and put in school. And a few years later, I found in another program the same child now carrying a school bag. I do not know her name. I do not know what became of her. But what I do know is that this child was her responsibility. This school bag is our responsibility. The guidelines that were issued by the Apex Court, the guidelines that were here as the picket strategy, this picket approach became the model, showing us the power of the two-way conversation that exists between our legal mandates, our policies, our institutions, our civil society, our children.
ये जो है बाल विवाह मुक्त भारत, इसको तो मैं समझता हूँ सबसे महत्वपूर्ण यह है ताकि हम एक ऐसा समाज तैयार करें अगले 5 साल 10 साल में जहाँ पर बच्ची के विवाह की जगह हम बच्ची को एजुकेट कर लें, उसको एम्प्लॉयबल स्किल्स दे दें। और आज देख लीजिए आप, हमारी जो कल की बच्चियाँ थी, लड़कियाँ थी, आज फाइटर पायलट्स हैं, जो हम या नेवल फ्रिगेट्स की कमांडर्स हैं, बॉर्डर्स पे वो तैनात हैं। तो ये एक उदाहरण है कि आप एक लड़की को आप अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ दे दे तो कहाँ पर समाज को ले जा सकती हैं.
This direct effect was reflected last year in the most resolute effort by the government of India to launch the Bal Vivah Mukt Bharat campaign by the Ministry of Women and Child Development.
किसी बालिका का विवाह ना हो, किसी बालिका का बाल विवाह ना हो.
This campaign on 27th November 2024 in one day became a clarion call of the government, making it not only one of the largest mobilizations of people in human history, but also the single biggest mobilization of people on the issue of child protection and child marriage. This phenomenal trajectory shows the power of our people. It shows the power of our laws. It shows the resolve of our government. The Nijut Moina scheme launched by the Assam government. It's a landmark initiative providing financial support and incentives to girls to prevent child marriage and promote education. Karnataka has introduced reforms and is amending the Child Marriage Act itself, making attempt a crime, strengthening the legal deterrence and protection mechanisms. Tripura's Mukhyamantri Balika Samriddhi Yojana focuses on empowering girls through education and financial inclusion, discouraging early marriage. Niti Aayog's efforts are now being expanded across 500 most vulnerable blocks with the partnership of civil society organizations such as AVA. They have ensured education for all children in 70 districts already. They have declared over 15,000 villages committed against child marriage already. In Assam, over 84% decline on child marriages has been reported. In Maharashtra and Bihar, over 70% child marriage decline has been reported. In Rajasthan, it is 66%. In Karnataka, it is 55%, where the work is happening in a very incisive and calculated way. It shows measurable progress nationwide. Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about how India is taking profound strides in protecting its children through the Child Marriage Free India campaign. And the power of this proven model has now gone beyond India. It is also being implemented in other nations. The campaign's grassroots actions, mobilization of public policy, and the government's push has catalyzed significant impact and has become a role model not only in India or neighboring countries but across the globe. Just a month after the government of India launching the Bal Vivah Mukt Bharat campaign, a ripple effect was found right next to our country with the government of Nepal launching the Child Marriage Free Nepal or Bal Vivah Mukt Nepal campaign in December 2024. In September 2025, on the sidelines of the 80th UN General Assembly in New York, an event organized by Just Rights for Children launched the Child Marriage Free World campaign. Alongside the First Lady of Sierra Leone, the government of Kenya, partners from around the world.
When we hear statistics like it's going to take 300 years possibly to end a child marriage at the current rates, how do you feel?
I don't think those rates take account of the incredible cutting edge work that Bhuwan is doing. But I think he's proven that there's a methodology, and that's holding perpetrators accountable. And by perpetrators, we don't just mean the child rapists themselves. We mean the priests and imams who are holding the marriage ceremonies. We mean the police who are failing to prosecute.
From India's villages to the world stage, this is not just a campaign. It is a movement of justice. It is a movement for justice that has gathered momentum and found resonance in community after community. country after country, a movement that unites governments, civil society, jurists, survivors, policemen, lawyers, faith leaders, communities, and above all, it unites all children around one goal: to end child marriage by 2030. And it does not end there. As we speak today, we have an ongoing 100 Days of Action campaign which mobilizes worldwide pledges, collective commitments from individuals, from institutions, from governments, urging them to report, to take a stand, to stop, prevent child marriages in over 100 countries. The real success of the Child Marriage Free World campaign lies in keeping girls in school and giving them the future that they deserve. In India, the needle has evidently moved from where we began. Bringing a change of this colossal proportion takes time, generations, decades, even centuries to uproot an age-old tradition. In just 3 years of the journey of the Child Marriage Free India campaign, we have brought down the prevalence of child marriages from over 23% to less than 15%. I firmly believe that with this momentum, we are closer to the end of child marriage than ever before. Ending child marriage is not charity. It is smart governance for nations. It strengthens economies. It improves health. It empowers democracy. It educates children. It creates economic participation of women in the workforce. Child marriage-free world is possible, but it will need measurable action, consistent investment, and accountability at every level. I still remember that girl in Andaman. I could not save her then. And yet, every day, by trying to save millions of others, we ensure that no child gets left behind. Together, what we are trying to create is a world that is just for our children, a world that is just right for our children. Thank you for joining us on this show, for walking with us on this journey to create a child marriage-free India, a child marriage-free world. And I urge you to also join this fight. It is our collective fight. Please log on to ndtv.com/childmarriagefreeindia to take the pledge, to support us, to walk with us, to report child marriages. Please remember, what you do today to protect a child may be just one small step for you, but for that child, what you do today is the entire future. For in every adult, there dwells the child that was, and in every child, there lies the adult that will be. I leave you with this thought. Until next time. Thank you for watching.